and gentlemen, welcome to what is supposed to be your Friday spot in Pagan Perspective. I do this all the time, so yeah. I actually got off work last night and just passed out like instantly after I got off work, so I wanted to do this now early in the morning if I could, because I missed it last night. Anyway, this week we were supposed to be talking about ancestors and using ancestors as an almost like godlike deity being in our practice, and how we feel about ancestors and spiritual practice and what we do with them and stuff like that. The person who was asking the question asked specifically if this was a bad idea, if it was a bad idea to use ancestors and believe that they have achieved a godlike state. For example, certain beliefs and cultures, they feel if an ancestor was good enough and wholehearted and good-spirited and stuff enough that whenever they died, they became a deity type being. So they asked if it was strange or my phone's dying. They asked if it was strange or not advised to use ancestors or not, because we don't necessarily know where the ancestor's soul is at on the other side of the world. Like, they might be, going through some kind of trial or tribulation, or they might actually be an angry spirit now that they're dead. They might, you're not really sure exactly how your ancestors are after they die, unless you have spoken to them in some way, which even then, none of those are foolproof methods that have been proven by science, so we're not really sure. Anyway, as for viewing your ancestors as gods or goddesses, I don't really see anything wrong with that, because first off, we are all gods and goddesses. We are all part of God and Goddess, and so I don't necessarily see anything necessarily wrong with that, because you're still worshiping a part of the god or goddess. Whether you want to full-blown call it god or goddess is up to you. I don't see anything wrong with it. As for whenever you don't necessarily know where your ancestor's spirit is on the other side, like maybe if they are an angry spirit, blah blah, that I feel like isn't necessarily as important with most cases, because you are utilizing how you knew the person in life and in their lifetime. So you are calling upon that symbolism, not necessarily the symbolism of how they are now, but you are calling upon that symbolism. Now, if I were doing a spell that I felt was really serious and really needed to fit the criteria of every possible thing, I probably would not use an ancestor. I would probably actually use a god or goddess that has already been established. Because from the legends and stories and stuff about them, you know exactly what kind of symbolism you are calling whenever you call to them. Especially since God and Goddess is part of yourself. You're really just calling on a part of yourself. But whenever you do call on an ancestor, like we've said, they might be an angry spirit, they might be confused, they might be any list of things. So if you're doing a very serious spell that you're really wanting the outcome to be exactly what you want it to be, I wouldn't risk it. Not necessarily that I believe that those things would matter, but I'm also of the belief that maybe they do matter, and I just don't know that they matter. So I would, cover all my bases if I could. But as for, just having ancestors in your spiritual life, I don't feel like that's strange at all. In fact, many, many, many cultures have ancestor altars, especially voodoo and hoodoo. They have ancestor altars, and Wicca even has ancestor altars. So an ancestor altar is pretty much just where you put photos of your passed over loved ones, or even you can have an altar devoted to just one passed over loved one and another one devoted to someone else that passed over. But anyway, it's just where, you pray for guidance, you pray for help, because now that they're on the other side, they might actually be able to tell you a few things or influence you in some way. Yeah. I'm not really sure what else to say about that. I think I've covered all the bases. But yeah, if you want to use ancestors in your spiritual practice, by all means, go ahead. There's nothing wrong with that at all. Thank you for watching. Bye.